Happy Thursday. A bonus mannequin chill. We got some hammers to answer, Shane, that we were too talkative the other night and didn't get through all of them just because there were too many. But you ready to answer some hammers tonight? And we sent this out to everybody in the Discord. Everybody. All channels, anybody that's in the Discord, regardless of your tier or your membership, access to this stream. So take advantage, put some comments in there. We'll try to hit a couple comments, but this is just catching up on some of the trades that we've had in the hopper for a couple weeks. So Shane, how you doing? And are you ready,
Good.
My friend?
Let's answer questions. I don't care about how I'm doing.
I don't really care how you're doing. I just am habitual to ask you.
I
really don't care.
I lost 4 toes to frostbite this week. We won't even get into that. Doesn't matter. Let's answer football questions.
4 toes to frostbite when it's literally a record high heat out right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. People caught that joke. All right, first one. Scuba Steve. This is one hammer. It's a 12x9 Superflex PPR half-point tight end premium. Allen, Mahomes, Jones, I assume that's Aaron, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Jalen Warren, Raheem Mostert. Shane, that is like a dream running back room with all of those guys were probably gotten for very cheap, if not nothing, or gotten before they were anything in a case of like Jalen Warren. So that's an interesting running back room. Probably not one you can move anything, but I love that running back room. I just wanted to comment on Scuba Steve's roster. CD, Adams, Cooper, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, George Kittle, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Jake Ferguson. No picks. Tear down at quarterback to upgrade my skill positions. Finished second in the league last year. League doesn't value tight end. I was going to wonder, what does the league think about tight end? And considering you have 4 of the top 10 in a format that I really would not want to flex them if I don't have to. What you doing here? Any plan? Would you downgrade your quarterbacks, or are you literally just rolling with what you have? Because this team's definitely good enough to compete.
No picks. I mean, I might do the old okey doke where I know people are slow and they think that Kyler is an elite, so maybe I'll try to tear down the Kyler and get a little something extra. But it's only start 9. Like, having Allen and Mahomes makes up for a lot of other stuff, right? That papers over a lot of other things. Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, or is that Amari Cooper? Really doesn't matter. Amari Cooper's pretty good. Devontae Adams, pretty good. CeeDee Lamb, pretty good. Keenan Allen, I have my concerns about. Shane says should be dropping tomorrow for the first time in a couple weeks. I found a way to record offline. Very excited. Good stuff. Thank you, OBS. Watched a lot of YouTube videos. No, I'm going to ride this train with Allen and Mahomes. Like I said, if I can tear down to Kyler and get something, sure, I'll do that. Can I tear down, a lot of air quotes again, to Jalen Hurts and something? Sure. But it's just a fake tear down. You know what I mean? It's a tear down in name only. That's really the only way that I'm going to tear down from those quarterbacks.
I think I'm going the other way here. I have no interest in tearing down from my quarterbacks. I don't need more players. What I need is to get rid of some of the players that I have. It's a start 9, Shane. I don't need guys like Calvin Ridley. I don't need all 4 tight ends. I don't need all 5 of these running backs. Here's what you probably got to do. You probably got to trade what you can trade, meaning I want to take a couple of these pieces and turn them into future firsts, even if it's 2026, even if it's 2027. I don't need Calvin Ridley on this team. He is irrelevant to whether I win or not. You know what's going to help me win? I need a couple running backs to stay healthy. I need one of my tight ends to probably be a above replacement tight end, and I need my quarterbacks to smash. And then I need my CeeDee Lamb to be what you'd expect him to be. If those happen, I don't care what my last flex does or my wide receiver 3 or which of the tight ends that I keep and which ones I trade away. So I'm basically trying to liquidate a couple pieces here just for future capital. I don't even need 2025 or even 2026 picks. But you say they don't value tight end until you go, I'm willing to take a 27 first for Evan Ingram, and someone goes, ooh, I need a tight end. I'll do that. That's fine. You don't need him. So that's what I'm doing here. Not messing around with trying to up tier, trying to upgrade. I'm guessing we're not here at this point asking this question if it was easy to do what he's proposing. So thank you for the question. Got a little bit of a crowd in here. Again, we put this out for the patrons in Destination Devy and Trades in 5 Discord. So any comments you see will be coming from our community. So thank you, everybody, for being here.
You know what? I haven't said this in a long time, but on an old show of mine many, many years ago, I used to say something, and it's true. I like patrons better than non-patrons. Definitely
you like subscribers and people that actually support you.
Yes. Those messages don't get left on read as opposed to people sitting on my inbox and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, with their Shane, just a quick question that's this long. I've loved you forever. And then I go check out how long they've been following me. But anywho, go ahead.
I got one the other day, and this is completely strange, so maybe we'll go a couple extra minutes. I got one the other day, and it was a Twitter person, and it's just At some point, I had to stop answering all these X messages, right? There's just too many of them. We're talking last summer was the peak, and it was probably 20 a day. People just replying, and they go right from a thread I posted on Twitter, DMs. And there was somebody that had DM'd me probably like 3 or 4 times, and it got lost in the shuffle. I didn't even read it. It just was unread, which is unlike me. But they sent me another message like a month later after me not replying to their last one. And it said the old Scott would have responded. And I was like, whoa. Down like, there's a little bit of shade, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, if I respond, then I responded. You know what I mean? It's like the person that it puts the comment in the chat to get you to put it up there, even though there's no substance to it. But anyway, I just thought it was funny. Another hammer. This is a bada bing, bada boom. A 12 by 10 super flex PPR, 0.75 tight end premium. Stroud, T-Law, Fields, Javonte, Warren, Cans, Smitty, Higgins, Addison, McConkey, Ricky Pearsall, Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, all future picks. What's the move? Get a hammer at running back or receiver, or is having a top tight end room enough to cover? League activity is low, year 2 home league. So I'll take this part real quick. You don't really have a top tier tight end room. You have 2 good tight ends, and one of them is a rookie. Michael Mayer, I wouldn't really count as a top tier tight end. He's probably more a roster clogger. He would be someone I'd be willing to trade if someone give me a third and a fourth, a third and a running back, something like that. It is a 0.75 tight end premium, so somebody should want him on their roster at least. But yeah, what are you doing here, Shane? Because this is a little light at everything except for quarterback.
But if Bowers is what Bowers is supposed to be, Bowers is going to be just as good as Laporta. As good as Laporta, yep. And then this tight end room is an absolute monster. So then, it would paper over the fact that your wide receiver room is
okay. So how do you get a hammer here? Because here's the problem: I see Stroud, T-Law, Javonte, Warren, maybe 4 starting receivers and 2 tight ends. So this is a start 10, and we have 10 players, and we only have one hammer. Maybe if you count a hammer or Stroud as a hammer by value too. But the point is we're thin. But how do we get hammers here shy of just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall?
There weren't a bunch of picks right on page 2. Did I miss?
No, it's all futures. So I assume it's just your stock.
But it's just
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Dude, he's not going to like this, but you're probably trying to flip Devonta Higgins, Addison, Lad for future firsts and trying to multiply them like Mogwais. I don't know why Mogwais.
Well, okay. Let me stop you there. As this team is constructed right now, if you wait for a right time during the season to use your first and or second and or third to buy points, can this team win next year?
If things break right, yes.
Assuming we have 2 or 3 mulligans using our picks to buy points when things inevitably go wrong. Because we only have 10 starters. We do have Ricky Pearsall and Michael Mayer, which are young players, but they're also players that probably don't have a ton of opportunity, meaning they are going to be very much timing dependent when you can actually flip them, right? Like you can't get anything for them now. So could you package Pearsall and Mayer for...
We're counting Mayer, Pearsall, and Ladd as starters year 1. Like literally,
when a guy's going in top 35 and underdog at receiver, he's a starter. Now, whether he's a good starter is a different story. I'm talking Pearsall and Mayer. No one even wants them. They'll take them. Like, could you combine Pearsall and Mayer and get DeAndre Hopkins? Could you get Hollywood Brown?
Probably, but you need more. I need additional pieces coming back.
Do you? Deontay Johnson for both of those players. You wouldn't do that?
Yeah, but I still need another piece back with
why
not a great. I
throw in running back. I'll give you Alexander Madison. He's a body.
Okay. Yeah, but yes, I need another piece like that.
We're going gross here. There's only one hammer, but I mean, the point is you have players on your team that right now have very little value, but they're occupying spots, and you probably don't want to trade them at their current market price because it's Ricky Pearsall, who has no role, and Michael Mayer, who's buried behind Brock Bowers. So I think it's just, I wouldn't touch this team. Unfortunately, this is the bed you've made, Shane. I'm all in on Stroud and T-Law and Bowers and Laporta, and I just need my other skill players to hang on, and I'll use my picks to supplement it.
You already know how I feel about Stroud. Like, I like Stroud. I'm going to preface this again, so people don't want to come like after me with like a blowtorch. I like Stroud. I think he's overvalued. I'd be trying to capitalize on that, getting another quarterback and some pluses. I think your quarterbacks your wide receivers are mediocre, and I'd probably be looking to sell them. I'd be looking to reshuffle pretty much this whole roster, just about, and starting anew. Because this feels like, to me, it feels like it's mediocre. And if there's one thing I don't want to be in life,
it definitely is mediocre.
I don't
you've
want to
put
be
out
mediocre.
tons of videos and content on how to move off somebody like Stroud and where you can maybe gain some extra value for not less production, right? Kyler, Dak Prescott, like you can get to a point where you're getting another piece on top that makes your team more competitive. It's just not going to have that second dynasty name like Stroud carries right now. So you got to do something like that. Otherwise, yeah, that team's probably going to have to trade all their feature picks just to be in the mix. 12 by 9 from someone. One hammer, we'll make this one quick. 12 by 9 PPR. Don't see any other premiums or anything. Mahomes and Hurts, Bijan, Aaron Jones, Spears, Rico Dowdle, Lamb, AJ Brown, Olave, Waddle, Kelsey, Pitts, 2 firsts in both years, 2025 and 2026. Should I trade for a third QB now using draft capital or wait until one of my starters gets hurt? If now, what quality QB should I try for? I'm going to take this one, Shane. The answer is no. This is why you roster backup quarterbacks. You are never starting a third quarterback unless one of yours gets injured. If one of yours gets injured, deal with it then. There's a reason you're stashing 4 firsts. It's for a emergency, contingency, weekend spending spree fund, right? Like whatever you want it to be, there's 0 reasons I would trade for a third QB right now. You agree?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, good. And that's a rule of thumb for everybody. You know, if you are trading for a third QB on a team where you have 2 studs, you're doing it just because you are playing out of fear of, okay, Jalen Hurts is going to get injured, but what if he doesn't? And if he does, the odds that Derek Carr is going to fix the problem is low. You know who would fix the problem probably just as much as Derek Carr? Kenny Pickett, who you can probably get for nothing. Like handcuff Jalen Hurts with Kenny Pickett, handcuff Mahomes with, if Carson Wentz and Kenny Pickett were starting with their respective weapons with those offenses, their quarterback, 20?
And you know what
20,
I'm probably
24? I mean,
if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, you know what I'm probably looking at? Okay, well, how's the Josh Allen team doing this year? Are they bad? Guess what I'd like to do? How do I get Josh Allen off of them and move my Jalen Hurts to them?
You can always move the hammer QB when they're injured as well. You're going to get a little bit less, but you can.
Right. Yeah, as opposed to let me go Captain Mediocre on my roster. Hey, let me get one from the crowd, right? Because, well, they're our crowd. All right. Super Dunkerton. And I like this because it reminds me of Dunkin' Donuts.
Sugar. You said super.
Sugar. Oh, I can't read. I am illiterate. Little known fact, or a widely known fact, I am illiterate. Sugar Dunkerton. Dynasty Trades in 5. Standard format. AJ Brown and Gus Bus, or Xavier Worthy and Jaden Reed. He has Ayuk, Adunze, and JSN. Rest of his wide receivers are young/rookies. Cans at running back and trying to buy cheap into competing. I don't understand the question, and I don't respect the question.
So it's basically I'm trying to kind of like backdoor compete here by buying cheap points at discounted costs. So I wonder if that's part of this trade is I'm upgrading to a hammer, but I'm getting Gus Edwards thrown in. I don't know. We don't even know what side is what here, do we?
To me, I don't care what side you are. The AJ Brown side is the correct answer. I want AJ Brown by about a kabillion. Maybe slightly smidge less than a kabillion. But yeah,
so say it's a DTI 5, start 12, and you remove Gus Edwards from the trade. Are you still taking AJ Brown?
Start 12. It is it will give you pause. It will give me pause, I should say. I would think a little harder about it. And if your team is already thin, I would think about it. I would say that will give you pause. But our standard is generally 11. So in 11, I'm going to have to be pretty bad to go give me the Jaden Reed, Xavier Worthy side, which is not a bad package in a start 11, but I want the AJ Brown side.
Yeah, I would actually like that deal if I was getting a first back instead of one of the receivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then the first I could go and split and turn into could I turn the first into DeAndre Hopkins and a second? You know what I mean? And continue or something to where I'm cascading more assets if I'm trying to compete cheaply. You can compete cheaply, but part of the problem with trying to compete cheaply is getting guys like Gus Edwards on the teams that are already valuing him for that same reason. That's something that doesn't get talked about a lot in the dynasty spaces. Oh yeah, like you hear shows where they just say, "Oh, go buy these players super cheap. Here's their keep trade cut price." Right? Till you go to the league and you go, "Wait a second. All of these players you mentioned are on teams that already are going lowest common denominator. They're stuck on my roster. They're dying there." So the price actually isn't what keep trade cut says it should be. It is, well, yeah, I like Gus Edwards. He's probably going to start, Shane, so I need a second. And you're going, it's Gus Edwards. He could be dead in 1 week. You know what I mean? He's the definition of a filler that you don't want to pay for. So good question. Thank you for putting that in there. Sugar Dunkerton. I was going to ask you when I saw that, did your kid ever get the job at Dunkin' Donuts?
Still waiting to hear back. He did. So he did make a mistake on the interview. He told her he can work any hours except for weekends. So I told him you need to call her back and let her know you can work weekends because those are the hours they want you to work, bro.
Did he bring a ledger of how much money his father has spent at Dunkin' Donuts over the years?
He should have, and he should have brought the Shane's Day video and been like, "Watch this." But he did call her
back. By the way, my dad has spent $88,000 at Dunkin' Donuts. At least you can give me a job.
He did speak to her on Monday or Tuesday, and she said she'll see what she can do. She's going to see if maybe she can get him some weekend hours, and we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, he gets a job though, because he likes money, and I would like him to stop spending my money. That would be awesome.
And if you have to drop him off on Saturday mornings, you can go pick up a coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
And drop him off. It's killing two birds with one stone. It's called life efficiency. Cool. All right. 2 hammers from Nick. 10x9, 1 QB, half PPR. We have Hurts, Stafford, Aiden O'Connell, Kamara, Pollard, Roshan, Stevenson, Dobbins, Justin Jefferson, Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Dontavian Wicks, Tyler Conklin, Tucker Kraft. Draft has not happened, so we're going to go through some draft strategy here. 101, 104, 204, 206, 225 first, 1 second, I assume next year, 25. This is a 1 QB start 9 chain. So remember, 10-team 1 QB start 9, meaning that 104 isn't what you think it is, but still, would you do the 104 to get back the 107 and the 205? No. 205 is... No, Hopium range. 104 is either Brock Bowers, which this team could use Brock Bowers even in a non-PPR or a half PPR, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not moving a Dunze or Bowers for.
No, I'm not.
It would need to be another first minimum.
I'm not giving up the 104 for the 107 and the 108. No, it's one quarterback.
What about a future first or no?
No, not unless the team is absolutely awful. I'm looking at that team and I'm like, seriously, dude, you want to give me a future first? It's a guaranteed, no doubt about it, top 3 pick. No chance. No.
Yeah, that's probably not going to be the team that is offering you that. He actually had another trade I forgot to put up here. Give the 104 and the 206 and get the 108 and Devontae Smith.
No.
No? Okay. So you'd rather have Bowers over Smith there?
Yeah. What are we doing? We're hammer hunting. This is the league.
No, but listen. This, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I'm not saying Devontae Smith is a hammer, but he is at least a receiver you can start. He's probably your second best receiver if you get him on your team. He probably slots in right there above Zay Flowers. So he is a starter.
He is.
And the 108, depending on what you can do with the 108, I would consider the deal because ultimately you're still getting Brock Bowers. Okay. Can I buy, I don't know, Mark Andrews for the 108?
But how much can I buy Brock Bowers? I traded the 104.
No, we're giving up the 104 here. We're getting back to Devontae Smith in the 108.
Yeah. So where am I getting Brock Bowers at?
No. I'm saying you're getting Brock Bowers at the 104. That was a negative. This is not the format to really want Brock Bowers, but that's who you're going to take.
Okay.
Given his roster. I'm saying, can I turn the 108 into Evan Ingram?
Okay.
Something like that, where you know what I mean? And I add Devontae Smith. It's actually something to think about. That is a better deal than the first deal. He does say, considering Marv Neighbors, Rome going 1, 2, 3, exactly what we would think. So stick it for take Bowers. Yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. What do we got next? Tank Bigsby. Better question asker than he is a running back. 12x10, super flex, PPR, 2 PPR for tight end, I assume. I hate, it's a pet peeve of mine, Shane. If it's 2 PPR, put 2 PPR. When someone says 2 tight end premium,
yes,
I look at it as it's 2 tight ends with a premium that you haven't listed. Yes. So Mahomes, Lawrence, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. Man, we double teamed that Bo Nix, Michael Penix here. Just had to have both of them. Marv, Rome, Burton, McMillan. That's probably why we were all in on this rookie class for sure. When Marv and Rome and Burton and McMillan are our top 4, and Javon Baker. So we're all in on rookies.
And not just B-Rob. He's got Brob. He capitalized it, so it's Brob.
Now, is that Bijan Robinson?
If it's capitalized, it might be Brob.
It's not. It's Brian Robinson. But yeah, you got to be careful when you put B-Rob. Like B-Rob could be Bijan Robinson.
If you're capitalizing it, I would assume it's Brob. Bijan Robinson.
People would put Bijan, but still.
You would think. Yeah.
Point taken. Yeah. But we only have Brian Robinson and Cans. We somehow focused on tight ends, though. We have Pitts, Hawkinson, Musgrave, Isaiah Likely, 6 firsts, 2 seconds, and then a 26 first and second. Just finished the startup. So this is out of the startup. 12x10, 2 PPR for tight ends, which in 2 PPR for tight ends, I'm fine with Pitts, Hawk, Musgrave. Those are, definitely the first 2 are flexible. Musgrave, probably borderline. The team doesn't need anything from TJ Hawkinson, so he was probably a pretty good value in the startup. Does not have a much depth, acquired picks to move back. Team isn't set up to compete. Don't want to use the picks to force contention, but I should be open to trading away any of the 25 first in season. High activity during the startup, not much since. What types of moves? Quick version here. This is a 2 hammers worth, Shane. I don't hate the team out of a startup. I wish I could have. I don't really want guys like Jalen McMillan, Jermaine Burton, and Javon Baker out of a startup, but at least he didn't list any assets, which are just going to be impossible to move. All the players he has could be moved, I think.
Yeah, I think he went with young wide receivers. Well, obviously, he went with rookie wide receivers. That's what he wanted. He didn't want any running backs on his roster, clearly. He didn't want to be tied to any running backs. Why he went with Brian Robinson of all running backs, well, whatever, fine. I'd be looking to move Brian Robinson in season. Outside of that, I mean, yeah, am I open to moving my 25 firsts? Sure. The worst one. I can't tell you what moves to make in season because there's lots can happen in season, right? There could be injuries to quarterbacks, and quarterbacks could be available, but better than Lawrence.
Well, let's broaden that idea, because we don't know what injuries are going to happen, but my take would be flexible about what you have on your roster. You are not contending, which means you do not need to be married to every player that you have. If, let's say, CJ Stroud gets injured during the season, right? And he's out for the year. If you can get CJ Stroud in a second for Trevor Lawrence because the person is desperate, take the trade, right? Like, that's the kind of trade that you can trade or you can make in season because other people care about the production. You don't. You're making a good dynasty trade, right? You're getting the better asset plus a little bit of a tax sometimes because other people are worried about what's happening right now. So don't be married to any of the players that you have, including some of the players that you probably are like, that's part of my building block. T-Law, even Mahomes. The right quarterback gets injured, you can get a first on top of Jalen Hurts for Mahomes. I mean, you got to think about that kind of move and be flexible in season. That's what I'm doing in season. What I'm not doing in season is going, let me start buying players for next year. There's going to be plenty of times where you can buy players next year, even for first, if you have first available. So don't sell those too early. Kind of wait, be patient. You built the roster to be patient. Don't need to rush to make any moves right now. Thank you for the 2 hammers. Hopefully it really was Tank Bigsby, and he helps some of my underdog teams that I've taken him on. This one's for you, Shane. Chris Knocktrebe just put in a hammer and said, "Thank you, Shane." No question. Did you help Chris with something? Do you remember?
I don't know. I play an asshole on TV, but I'm actually not. So maybe, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Chris sent us a hammer. Thank you, Chris. If there's something more to it, didn't get into here. Let Shane
no problem.
know. Here's his phone number. Call him up.
Yeah.
Bother him during the day. All right. Thank you, Chris, for the hammer.
Oh, wait. I got
throw one from the chat. Yeah, throw one from the chat.
One from the chat. So Super Ray, 12 by 10, Super Flex, no preems. How did I do on this trade to pivot to contender? He got Josh Allen, Tyreek, and Kelsey, and Monty. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. He gave up Love, Laporta, JSN, the 102, the 106, the 211, the 304, a late 25 second. His rest of his roster is ready to win. So he gave up Jordan Love.
Let's account for the 2 seconds at the end, like the 211, 304 plus the late second. Let's just say those are 2 seconds. Let's set those aside. Let's just look at the players and go through where they're fair. Josh Allen for Love, what would you have to add? JSN and Love for Josh Allen, is that enough?
No, that's still Josh Allen. No premiums. Right.
Yep.
So I mean, we're talking Love, JSN.
Okay, Love, Laporta, and JSN for Allen and Kelsey. Is that fair?
I think I'd still want Josh Allen and Kelsey.
I will just say, I think we paid a lot here because remember, we also gave up Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, that's
Caleb Williams, which you add Marv or Caleb to any piece in the deal, and it's worth more than Josh Allen. So
that's the problem, right? So that's where you can do all the math you want, but once we add, so if we do Love and let's just say we do Josh Allen and Tyreek for Love and Marvin Harrison.
That's a deal. A lot of people would take the younger receiver, and they would be fine with Love versus Allen.
Right.
That's a pretty square deal.
So then Laporta and the 106,
Laporta and Adunze for Tyreek, Kelsey, and Monty, we sold out entirely for production. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and I get that and I love Tyreek, man. I absolutely love that dude. I don't know. This is hurting my head.
I'll say this, Shane. Even if I had a contending team, I would trade to him to get what he gave. Give me Love, Laporta, JSN, Marvin Harrison, Roma Dunze, and those other seconds to play with. I'll figure it out and still find a way to beat him, even if he's got Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
Because and even if
I'll just take the assets.
Yeah. And I don't like JSN, but guess what I can do with JSN? There's someone
you can get another receiver you wanted easily with him. You can add those 2 seconds and get something else you wanted, guaranteed.
So you know what this feels like? It feels like this deal got too big on you, right? Where you keep adding things, and before you know it, it kind of spirals. It's kind of like you just keep adding stuff, and it feels right, but it gets bigger and bigger, and before you know it, it's just so big that you can't even wrap your mind around what you did. Although we also forgot there is money in the deal.
Here's what it is. It feels good when you go look at your team now and you go to set lineup, and it's like, damn, I'm throwing in. He said the rest of his roster is ready to win, so I'm guessing he's got maybe 3 or 4 other hammers maybe. Yeah. So you're looking at your team going, man, it's thin, but man, I got 7 hammers. But then you kind of realize there's more cracks potentially in the foundation that you just don't see yet because we're in June. You know what I mean? So
when you look at it, you're like, Jesus, I just added Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill to this roster and Kelce. It's really hard to be like, well, that's a bad deal, right? So I can't flat out say it's a bad deal. But then I go to the other side and I go, but I gave up Love, Laporta, and either Caleb or Marvin Harrison from that, and Roma Dunze, or JJ McCarthy, or Drake May, or the
Laporta part. It's funny because Laporta part, we would usually say we're fine moving a guy like Laporta in a non-premium, but it's more of the opportunity cost. I think he got a good deal points wise. The opportunity of cost of what do you always say? What could you have done if you shopped Laporta, the 102 separately? Right? And not just threw them all in this deal. Because when I'm sitting here going, even if I'm a contending team, I would take the package he gave. So even his biggest rival in the league would go, ooh, I'm getting enough value here, and I can still win with Laporta and Love and the 102 and the 106 and all those other pieces. So good question. Interesting trade, though. Very interesting trade.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the hammers. Let me get that one hidden. Okay. B. Mormon, 2 hammers, 10 by 11, Superflex PPR. Again, 2 TEP. So I'm assuming it's 2 PPR. 6 point per passing touchdown, 28-man rosters. We have Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields, Trey Benson, Tajay Spears, Kendre Miller, and Cans, Jefferson Flowers, Keenan Allen, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr., Trey McBride, Cole Kmet, just finished the startup, unable to trade back. Thoughts going forward? Dynasty Daddy has the 3rd team overall, but dead last in starters. We're planning on a productive struggle. Year 1, I was just hoping to have more future draft capital. So we don't have the future picks here. What do you think about this team? Dynasty Daddy says it's number 3 overall, but then you look at the starters and you go in a 10 by 11. I don't know. We have extra value in our Q. I'm sure it's valuing one of those QBs extremely high, but I'm not able to start all 3 at one time. So that's probably hurting his starter value for sure.
Yeah, that's one of it. And that's one of the reasons. And then it's also probably giving you like those fun points because you've got Worthy, Rice, Flowers, right? BTJ.
Oh, those Worthy, Rice, and Flowers are worth double what Keenan Allen is.
And triple. BTJ, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of unknowns, not the word I'm looking for, but like optimism points. Is that a thing? Jeremy, if you're watching this, is optimism points a thing on Dynasty Daddy?
Maybe we can turn it into in the future.
Optimism points?
Hopium. We can have the hopium slider on there. And you hit the hopium and the button to turn on the hopium slider. You know what it has to be, Shane? A magic bean.
Oh, I like it. I like
and
it.
then that gives you the rosiest outcome.
Oh my goodness.
All your young players.
So just Ray's picture on the far right. Whose would be on the far left, the bad side?
I don't know.
Who's the Grinch?
Might be. You know what? You could put Cody on the other side because
Cody would be Cody's crusty, so he'd be the curmudgeon on the far left. Ray on the right would be the hopium. But Ray's anti-hopium. He's the one that coined hopium.
He coined it, and it would have to be something where you push a little bean or something like that. But anyway, it's an interesting team. What do you think here? What can you do with this team? Is there even any way you can pivot? Because this seems like a mid roster for this year, but we've invested in guys like Keenan Allen and these running backs. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Keenan Allen's is definitely the Sesame Street. One of these things doesn't belong.
Right.
Definitely one of these things doesn't belong. It's Keenan, but what are you trading him for? you're not getting a first for Keenan Allen, right? Not right now.
There's probably a reason you got him in the startup because he fell really far, which means the whole league has already spoken on how they value him.
Exactly. So I'd love to tell you, hey, trade Keenan Allen for a first, or I'll just give you the type of content that some other people give sometimes. Hey, move Keenan Allen, and then that's it. Turn off the radio because that's the only information you're gonna get from me. I could tell you to move Keenan Allen. I don't know what you're moving him for, though. That's the problem.
I mean, on a team like this, what would you even, if you said, I want to try to trade him in the next 2 weeks, what would you actually take for him?
The best offer you're likely going to get in a sharp league is, if you're lucky, a couple seconds.
Would you take Jalen Polk for Keenan Allen?
I wouldn't, but I've seen him moved for Jalen Polk in a second.
Forget the second. Just would you take a receiver that you think will have opportunity that has a chance to be worth more flip
on a team like
wise,
this?
Not production wise? Yes. That's going to be a sobering reality probably from when he picked Jalen or Keenan Allen in the startup.
Yes.
Because I'm curious where he went relative to the other receivers. But if he went ahead of guys like Jalen Polk, you'd probably say Ricky Pearsall probably went ahead of him. But even that next tier, the Jermaine Burtons and the Malachi Corleys, whether you like those or not, there's going to be one or two from that range that after 3 games, they're good and they're way more valuable than Keenan Allen, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And here's the thing. Again, I'm going to plug my own stuff. Shane says, drop it tomorrow. I talk a little bit about Keenan Allen. So there's that. Big Diaz is everywhere, by the way. Big Diaz lives on the West Coast, and he's still hitting the morning drive with me at 8 in the morning on Fridays. Big Diaz, I expect him on there driving into work with me and Scott. Then we just randomly drop in here on 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening. He's here. Literally, anytime we jump in, he's around. So that's my dude. But yes, join the DD community, Dynasty Trades at 5 community. Everywhere you go, we got you.
Yeah, in the morning drive, we usually do those in the Discord right around like 8:15, depending on when Shane decides to start his commute to work. But yeah, they get posted to the pod feed where there's usually a couple extra shows a week out there on that feed. That's another perk. So Steve-O said, how close is Kyler to a hammer? I assume you put that up there.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
You put it up there. You got to answer. You've already answered that on probably 5 videos in the past that you view Kyler as a hammer that doesn't cost a hammer. So what's the
you know what, he's
seconds.
actually he's a little below a hammer actually, right? Because he's not going to put up those Jalen Hurts type weeks. He's not probably going to give you Josh Allen type weeks, but he will give you top 8 numbers on a consistent basis. So right above that, top 12, top 10, but like right in that really, really, really good level. So he's like a heavy mallet, you know. Not quite a hammer, but a very heavy mallet, and he will give you some hammer-like weeks. So good enough for me.
Fair.
Considering the price is not even close to that.
All right, Alec, 12x9, Superflex, half-point PPR, 0.5 for first down, 6 point per passing target or touchdowns. You do not have to start a tight end.
Tell me what to do. I'll do whatever I want, Alec.
We don't have to start one. We have Lamar, Watson, Penix, Achane, Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Warren. We have Marvin Harrison, Tyreek Hill, Drake London, Deebo Samuel. But we ignored the not having to start a tight end, and we went and got the top 2 tight ends in Dynasty on our team. We have our first and 2 seconds in 2025 and 2026. Probably the strongest group of starters. He's speaking of his own team. Would you give up 3 firsts and Penix as part of a package for Josh Allen if he's available? Or is it smarter to buy a Geno car type to get by at QB3? We've already answered that question, so we'll skip that part. We'll hit on it in a second, but for all intents and purposes, no, I'm not buying a quarterback 3 here. Feel like this team could be really strong for multiple years with an upgrade at QB. Activity is mid to high, although most owners content with their teams, even though they are clearly not ready to compete. So I guess let's just start there. He clearly wants to get a better QB than Deshaun Watson. So he's asking, what is the best thing to do? Is go all in with all my picks to get a hammer, or buy another, a Deshaun Watson equivalent and just try to roll with a platoon at my QB2, QB3 spot. So let's just start there, and let's not alter the deal. You got to give up Michael Penix and 3 firsts for Josh Allen. Are you doing it? Yes or no?
Real quick, that's not all, though. He said as part of the package.
Okay, so let's say you got to give up another piece on top of it, and it's It's Jonathan Brooks, and you get back James Conner.
Mar Watson, a chain. Marv, Tyreek, Laporta, McBride. No,
and you can't get any value for Laporta and McBride, I'm guessing, because you literally don't have to start one. So how he ended up with the top two, I mean, they must be valueless or easy to obtain. And at least if you're going to get them, you're rolling with probably two of the best, if not the best options for flexes, right?
Half point first down bonuses. I think I'd rather... Josh Allen probably, I don't know where he was. He was probably rushing at least half point first downs. He's probably pretty high.
And it's a start 9. So upgrading one spot means more than it would if you have 11 or 12 starters. And you can flex Laporta and McBride. Like, I'd rather have receivers that are dynasty equivalent to them, but they're probably outscoring Debo Samuel or Drake London, or they're close to it. You know, they're probably putting up 13, 16 points per game in that range. So there's a chance they score like wide receiver 2s.
I'm sorry. Just go to the next page for me again. First in 2 seconds and 25 and
3
26.
firsts and Penix as part of a package for Allen. So I threw the hypothetical. Let's say you had to throw in Jonathan Brooks and you get back.
Yeah, don't even care about Jonathan Brooks or Michael Penix in this equation. It's really about the 3 firsts. I'm going to assume you've already tried 2 firsts and Michael Penix for Jalen.
He's not listing 3 firsts and Penix if that's probably not what it would take to get started.
Yeah, go get Kyler instead. Kyler's cheaper. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Kyler's cheaper than this.
I think he's on the right track, but he's going all the way to the very top where he's basically gutting every asset he has and flexibility for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Where you could probably get by with this team if you didn't go for Josh Allen, but you went a tier lower. Can I get Jaden Daniels? Can I get...
That's what I was going to say. This feels like a dude that's never had to shop at like at a grocery outlet. You know what I mean? Like, go to grocery outlet first and just go get see what the cheap brand's not as good, obviously, because it's cheaper, but it'll do the trick. You know what I mean? Start there. Just let's start there first, right? It's not as good, but it will serve the purpose. That's where I'm going to start first before I just
or start with the 3 firsts and Penix and nothing else. And basically make it known that that's your offer and you're not going above that and you're shopping around. You can try it that way too, but you have the leverage here. You clearly have picks that other teams in the league are going to covet, but you don't need to go to just giving away everything for one player. That's probably not, even if it's Josh Allen, that's probably not a smart move to make in middle of June.
And this might be one of those leagues too, where it probably be a good idea. I wonder what it would take to get from the Justin Fields from that Justin Fields owner, because there's going to be some games that he's going to start at some point, but something like that.
I mean, not everybody has to attack the QB the same thing. You can go and get the last thing I want to do, and we've gotten this question a couple times, I don't want to go, Watson is a little bit of a weak QB2, so let me also go buy Aaron Rodgers. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not how I want to solve the hole. I either want to try to get an upgrade or I want to actually try to fill that gap cheaper. Give me Gardner Minshew. You know, like that from a fantasy perspective, at least he's going to fill in for cheaper, especially if he's not the starter right away. That's why I think Fields is a great idea on teams like that. And he needs to get in there, sure, but you don't need to go and just pay for a quote unquote starter just because they're a starter, especially when it's somebody like Carr or, Rodgers, someone like that. Just not interested in paying anything for those guys. All right, Big Al's Trucking, 12 by 10, PPR, half point tight end premium, Richardson, Stroud, backups, James Cook, B-Rob, Nick Chubb, Jaleel McLaughlin, Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Xavier Worthy, Jamison Williams, Brock Bowers, Cans, 2 seconds and 25, a first and 26. Do I make a move now or let it ride into the season? League is starting to get more competitive top to bottom. I finished 6th, lost round 1. There's the team. That's all we got. We do not have a first next year. What are we doing here? Finished 6th, though. It makes it seem like this is a tough league to get to the top. Pretty balanced. I'd assume we finished 6th last year because Anthony Richardson got injured. That probably didn't help.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if you have AR starting all year, well, obviously, if you extrapolate his 3.5 quarters of play over a full season, I think he would have been the best fantasy quarterback of all time. Don't quote me on that because that math is probably not correct.
It's correct.
It is correct. Yeah, that math would have been awesome. This
is a little thin here. We're a little thin here.
We are, and then the wide receiver room. Again, I worry about more, just like I worry about Keenan Allen, because they're going to cannibalize the.
Are you counting on Xavier Worthy to be a wide receiver 3 this year, or is that's risky?
I think you can count. No, I think you can count on him to be a wide receiver 3 this year. That's fine. Pittman's fine as a wide receiver too. Bowers, I think.
Over that question.
Yeah, just ignore that. Bowers is going to be a rookie tight end, right? So there's probably weeks where you're going to be like, wow, this dude is a beast. And there's going to be that period where you're like, I don't know if this guy's any good. I think this team is fine. But I don't know that I want to be making moves right now.
Could we sell JMO for Josh Downs in a second? I could start Josh Downs. I have Richardson. It gives me another asset. I mean,
absolutely.
The team does not have the assets to go and upgrade anywhere. You don't have a first to throw around. If you're throwing in your 26 first to try to upgrade, this team is not immune to falling apart by 2026. You know what I mean? So
yeah, if you can get JMO, if you can get anything on top of JMO, like any wide receiver in that same range and a pick for JMO, you do it. You do that all day.
Would you just take picks for JMO straight up and just bank that you can find some filler points for
I would.
Stuff?
I would in an absolute heartbeat. Me, and I'm not saying this is advisable. I'd straight up take a wide receiver. I would take Josh Downs straight up for JMO, which is just a horrible process. Yeah, you shouldn't be taking a wide receiver for a wide receiver, but I think he's Captain Crapsticks. But I'm not going to advise anyone else to do that. He's
a testament to one of those players that you just kind of know is going to hold his value. And if you're holding the bag for now 3 years in, and then after this year, you complain that he's not good. I mean, you had windows for days, and you didn't jump out of them. So it's all your fault if you're stuck with those JMO shares. Shane has over a year's worth of advice to get rid of him. I mean, I don't know how many times you've brought him up on streams, and the crowd just fights you. Man, just wait. Just wait, Shane. He outscored Brandon Ayuk the last month of the season.
He outscored A.J. Brown, is what I was told. The final 3 games of the year or the final
Travis Fulgham was also the wide receiver one for a month. And Elijah Moore was the best rookie receiver in 2021 for about a 6-week period.
Yes.
So stuff like that happens. All right, last one, then we'll get rolling. Andrew, 12 by 10, PPR, nothing else fancy. We have Allen Mahomes. Man, I love this running back room. Shane, Mixon, Jones, Connor, Benson, Zeke, Dowdle, Kendre Miller. We've gone to let me get all the running back value off my team and just get as many cheap, old, nobody else wants some touches as possible. Hell, I'd even probably trade Kendre Miller on this team because people apparently think he's taking over for Alvin Kamara soon.
Sit out. It's going to sit out the whole year.
Yes. Anyway,
it's a smart move at a 28-year-old running back because that's what they
do. We're building, and this is where maybe it gets a little concerning. We're building our receiver room the same way, Shane. We have DK, but then we have Evans, Adams, Kupp, Ridley, Keenan, Allen. Every receiver at 30 or older, we've decided to go with on this team. We do have Shakir and Samuel, so we've locked in those 2 stack pieces with Josh Allen, so that's kind of cool. We have McBride. We also have Kelsey, another old head, and then no firsts. Only 225 seconds. So we have really dug to about that point when you ever dig a hole as a kid and it gets to that point where you go, this dirt is just too hard to keep going. We've kind of dug to that point where we have Mixon, Jones, Connor, Zeke, Dowdle, Evans, Adams, Kupp, Ridley, Allen, Kelsey. Every one of those guys is worth more on your roster than anybody else is going to see value in. So what are you doing here?
Cross
fingers and ride into the sunset. A few managers have wanted DK and McBride. Of course, the only young guys you have.
Look, the only way I'm moving DK and McBride is if people are giving me multiple firsts for both of them. And they could be 26 and 27s each because your team is so old that when it ages out all at the same time, you're going to need multiple firsts. What can you do? I mean, this is a team that it is obviously old. You're not stupid. You can see that.
Would you spam any of Evans, Adams, Kupp, Ridley for a 26 first just to get out of one of them?
Yes.
Do you even care which one it is?
No. I mean, I care, obviously. If it was up to me, I'd be like, all right, sure. Here, take Kupp. Well, it'd be going this order. It would be here's Ridley, then Kupp. Probably it would be this order. Ridley, Keenan, then Kupp. Then Adams. Then Evans, then Adams. But that's not the order that other people are going to want them in. And guess what? I'm not in a position where I can actually dictate terms. So literally any one of these dudes that they will take off my hands for a 26 first, they can have. And then guess what? After that, I'm going to go, all right, so I got the 126 first that I could get for one of these dudes. Who wants to go ahead and give me a 27 first for one of these dudes?
I'm with you. And here's the reason why. Tell me where Khalil Shakir or Curtis Samuel are ever starting on this team. As it's constructed right now, are those guys, those are my 16th and 17th player, right?
Yeah.
So it's great. I love the idea of being able to take Josh Allen and stack one of those later options that he has at receiver. But the problem is they are in the way. There's other players in their way. So the strategy, and even if you had to set your lineup tomorrow, aren't you probably flexing James Conner or Zeke Elliott? You know what I mean? Like you're starting those guys until the brakes fall off of them, which means Shakir and Allen or Shakir and Samuel are even further buried on your team. So like you want to actually free up the ability to use one of those Bills receivers. Otherwise, they're absolute roster cloggers on your team. One of them should be usable. You have both. I assume he's gone out and got a couple of those purposely. He didn't just organically have those two. He probably got them thrown into deals or something. But you got to liquidate a couple pieces. It's not going to kill your team, but I think this is a key point to make. You don't have guys like Shakir and Samuel unless you can find a way to go, you know what, Shane? I don't have anybody else to start, so I'm going to throw Khalil Shakir in there. And I have Josh Allen, and I'm just hoping for a big week.
Yep.
So you got some work to do here. Cody put in the chat, run it till the brakes fall off. So
look, if he had some picks where he could go ahead and supplement some of these elderly gentlemen, sure. But we
probably used our picks to get these guys.
Yeah.
At some point, 2 years ago, we were trading our 25 and 26 first.
Right.
To get these guys.
If we could let some of these people just, as they fade out, we got new guys taking their place. We don't have that. These dudes die off. You know who's taking their place? KJ Osborne. That's who's taking their place because we have no draft picks.
Well, that is it. We went for a little over 45 minutes. And thank everybody that jumped in here. We will get this out for everybody else at some point on the YouTube, but I wanted to get some of these hammers done. We were actually supposed to do a roster review, but we decided to jump in here and do this instead. It's more fun. Any final comments you want to make? Anything from the chat that you did not get to put up that you wanted to put up there, or I'll leave it to you to close it out.
No, I think we got them, but no, it's fun. We'll try to do this once in a while. Maybe we'll even do some of these that aren't actual hammer streams. Maybe pop up and do a Manic and Chill where it's just asking, just getting questions from the DD Dynasty
Trade channel
and 5 channel. From the crowd, not hammers.
100%. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in on the private YouTube feed. We appreciate everybody that's in the Discord that interacts. I hate to say this because people will abuse it, but that's what we're here for. If you got a question that you want us to really dive into on an AMA or something that you want us to kind of make a bigger topic discussion on, how many times have we started the morning drives or the AMAs and we go, Shane, what do you want to talk about? And we just talk about like the trade we made today. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if there's some bigger picture topics, like that could be a 10 to 15 minute strategy discussion. Like that's what we like doing. So tag us, but you don't even need the question answered in the chat. You know what I mean? Just tag us. We can favorite it and we can pull a couple of them and create some shows out of them for everybody to listen to. Cause there's a lot of stuff we miss in the Discord that I read the Discord all day and I see something. I'm like, man, I could do a 30-minute podcast on that, but then I don't answer it or don't respond to it. And then it turns into just a forgotten topic that has to get brought back up at the right time.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like you're saying, just know that every Friday there's going to be a time where, look, it's an open venue. Jump up. We'll start talking about it. Every Tuesday there's an open venue. We can come talk about it at a minimum. But like Scott said, let us know. We can always have time to talk about it.
Good stuff. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll sign off for the night. Be chill.